Yeah, welcome to my talk on living with ADHD in Infosec. Obviously, this is a very personal talk, but I do it to raise awareness about what ADHD also is. It's more than what you probably think it is. I also do it to break down taboos and hopefully inspire others to help break down the taboo and get a diagnosis or just get a better life. Because I've been doing this talk for a couple of months, and I've been supported in my idea that some kind of diagnosis or neurodiversity or whatever you want to call it is somehow overrepresented in our line of work. So not talking about it is simply the wrong approach. We need to talk about stuff. And that illustration is the best illustration I've found of how I find it to have ADHD, because it's all about those bees buzzing around in your head and taking up all the attention. And it's really annoying. But that's another thing. The worst thing about black cats, I don't know if you had them, that is, for one thing is that they're really hard to take a photo of them, and then when you do take a photo of them, that's fairly good, and you want to show them to everybody, they can't see it. But these are my cats. My wife and I, these are the kids we have. Right? I live in Copenhagen. I'm 47. I've been working in Infosec since 2004, and during that time, I've gained experience with a lot of, with many areas of security, because funny enough, I've never really wanted to become a specialist. I wanted to do all sorts of new things all the time. So I've done everything from DRC and vulnerability scanning, maturity assessment, and my last real, if you want to say it like that, security job was as a security architect, where I did dental advisory and all sorts of things, at least before my career took a turn. I've been involved in my local Untitled Chapter since 2008, and I've co-founded Besides Copenhagen in 2019. I used to be the head of community in a company called CrowdSec, which is it was marketing, but it was also very technical marketing. It's probably not what you would think of as marketing, but part of what I did was to travel around conferences, and that's why I was here last year. I'm not doing that anymore. Instead, I went freelance a couple of months ago to help companies get more secure, but also teaching them how to use the community in a profitable way. There's no need to take photos of slides, because on the last slide there is a QR code where you can download the entire slide set. The best thing that happened to me was when I got, at least in my professional career, was the last 2 times I got fired. And the reason for that is that it was a good opportunity to stop and reflect over my situation. But let me start from the beginning, because you see, I may look, relatively normal, but looks deceive, right? I have ADHD, and you know what? That's actually okay. I was diagnosed 3 years ago, which you could probably say is relatively late. But it turns out that's not really unusual, because the way I have ADHD, I'm not hyperactive, meaning when I was a kid, I wasn't that annoying kid that was all over the place and driving the teachers nuts. That wasn't me. I was just sitting in the room and not really paying much or giving much attention to myself. All the weird thing that was going on, it was inside my head where nobody could hear it or see it. But that explained a lot to me. I've had increasing problems concentrating for the last 15 years, and I really didn't know why. And also it got harder to get a job that I really cared about. All those things, also concentrating things, lead me to be not very effective. And it turns out when you have a high concentration job and you're not really good at concentrating, you're not really the best worker, so you get fired a lot. And that wasn't really sustainable. Something had to be done, because getting fired all the time, that's not nice or sustainable. Yeah. First, I want to tell you a little bit about ADHD because I assume you don't know much. I didn't either, so that's completely fair. At least not before I knew that it was relevant to me. ADHD, ADD, what is it? What's what? But welcome to ADHD 101. ADHD means attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And it means that you can have both the attention deficit, or you can have the hyperactivity, or you can have both. One of them or both. It's still ADHD. And without the hyperactivity, which I have, it's just called ADD sometimes. So ADHD can take many shapes and forms, but many things are in common, and they are somehow connected, as you will see later when I'm giving you an overview of telltale sign of ADHD, which individually they really don't look really interesting, but together they form ADHD. But to me, finding out all those things that was connected to ADHD, to me it was groundbreaking, because all of a sudden there was a reason to all those weird things that I'd been doing all my life and drove my wife nuts, all that stuff. At least some sort of explanation, not an excuse, but an explanation. And it had always just been there. So here's an overview of the general indicators of ADHD. It covers all spectrum of ADHD, hyperactivity, or not, or whatever you have. It doesn't apply to everybody. I won't go through all of them. But what you can probably see is that all of these things, to some degree, they're normal traits. So it's not like if you ever procrastinate something, then you have ADHD. That's not how it is, because everybody can do that. But when it turns out to be you doing it all the time, when you always procrastinate, when you can never concentrate, when you always forget stuff, then it turns out to be, then it can be ADHD. I was when I was diagnosed, I was somewhere in a gray area. My psychiatrist wasn't really sure whether he wanted to diagnose me or not, or give me the stamp, but he ended up doing it because I actually had a problem. Right. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Also, careless mistakes, distracted by noise around you, getting fidgety, all that stuff. And also interrupting others while busy, can't wait for your turn. It probably does not sound familiar to anyone at all. The overview I gave you is from something called ASRS, Adult ADHD Self-Report Scale, made by WHO. And you can test yourself for ADHD later. But for the first time I saw this, it really blew me away, because, as I said before, everything certainly made sense, or suddenly made sense. One important thing I want to say is that you are not ADHD. You have ADHD. That means that you shouldn't let ADHD control your life. So if you have ADHD, yes, you have challenges, but they can be overcome to some extent. It doesn't prevent you from responsibility here. But the key to do that is knowledge. So you need to know about ADHD if you have it. You need to know yourself, what challenge you have, so that you can mitigate them, right? Just as any other vulnerability you have. You want to mitigate this as well. This is an overview of some of my traits. First, the ones that I see as quote unquote negatives. The most annoying thing is that my brain does not want to focus at all, ever, right? So I have to cheat it to do that. It's hard, and then when I am concentrated, it's hard for me to keep it. Some ADHD people have a hyper focus, where they can really focus on one thing and then just forget everything around them. Unfortunately, I'm not even able to do that. So it also means that I'm bad at planning. I have a bad short-term memories. So I'm really bad at remembering names or even common words sometimes. So if I can't remember your name, It's nothing personal, okay? And also, one thing that I found out even before all of this ADHD, I found out that I really didn't feel many. I didn't have many feelings. I don't know how to explain it, but I really didn't feel extreme happiness or extreme anger or anything. I was just there. I mean, that was the first time I went to psychiatrist. That was when I was 25, because I really didn't know what was going wrong, what was wrong with me. At some point, I thought I was, incapable of, feeling happiness or something like that. But unfortunately, fortunately, of course, it's not like that. It just means that it takes more for me to feel things. Later, I learned that it can be a coping mechanism, because as a child, I was, I wouldn't say outgoing, but I had a lot of fights. I changed school a lot, and some doctors claim that this is actually a coping mechanism that attach me from those feelings just to cope, and then as your brain grow and you grow with it, it sort of becomes the default setting of your brain. I'm not sure if it's true, but at least it can be trained. So I'm working on that. Yeah. Also, the low level dopamine means that there aren't really many things that really gets me excited professionally. It's all about, to me, it's all about getting new ideas all the time, which is hard, especially when you want to have the same job, and also getting new ideas. I also like that. And the others, there aren't as many of those. I admit that. But I'm really good at getting ideas. I don't see limitations. That is, in Besides Copenhagen, for instance, my role is to know people and have stupid ideas and not think too much about whether it can be done or not, because there are other people who are very good at doing that. I will, if they weren't around, there wouldn't be any B-sides in Copenhagen. So, yeah, I think different. I'm good at taking one idea in one situation and putting it over in something else, and to me, that's just logical. But apparently, that's not so for everybody. Here's the list of things I've done to cope better. Maybe it can help you too, because as I said before, understanding your ADHD is vital, so you can mitigate. The first and most important one is medicine. This is the stuff I'm getting. It says amphetamine, and that's because it's an upper, right? It actually enables my brain to work the entire day, and trust me, that is an advantage. I'm also getting better at. That helped me getting better at deep conversations. I'm able to keep focused for more than 15 minutes, which my wife is very happy about. We also enjoy playing board games. I can actually do that now. But before I got the medicine, I was considering to stop driving my car, because when I started driving, there were too many things I didn't see, because I got caught up. My thoughts got caught up with something else, and I couldn't bear with the potential consequences of that. But fortunately, when I got the medicine, things got way better. So I'm still driving my car, even though I'm driving in the right side of the road, unlike you guys, and it confuses the hell out of me. Just saying it. So I'll never even want to try to drive a car over here, because I would be so afraid of screwing something completely up. But that was a little bit of a sidestep. Sorry. Also, learning about ADHD, that also helped me. I also talked a lot to my wife about it, and because one thing that's important here is to share the information, share the knowledge with people around you, because the more they know about you, why you are so fucking annoying, the less they'll hate you. Because if you understand, then it's hard for them to hate you. So, and also, of course, they should understand what's going on, how it is to be inside your head, just as you probably want to be in theirs. Also, as I said before, I said that in terms of my brain not wanting to focus, I can trick it by putting headphones on and just play like focus music, classical music before I want to concentrate. Then my brain sort of gets prepped for doing actual work, then it's not so hard. But that took some time to find out. As I said at the beginning, having ADHD is a lot like having bees inside your head. And this guy makes them go away, right? He started I won't call it a cult because that really sounds so negative, right? but he built up on some old Indian way of meditation and invented his own system. And I was at a course almost a month ago, and for the first time there was silence in my head. So I don't care if he has a cult. I don't care that I don't understand why these freaking breathing exercises work. They just do, and that's really all I care about. And they also have, it's called Art of Living. It's available in Ireland as well if you want to join the cult. Yeah, and then there's this whole job situation. What do you do with that? Well, first of all, no matter who you are, you deserve the best working life you can have. That means that you should get the best out of it. You shouldn't settle with an unhappy situation. You should go with what you want to do. The difference between me and, I guess, normal people is that I literally don't have a choice, because I can't have a job that I don't care about. It's just physically impossible. I can't do it. I mean, even if it was my life, I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's very normal for people not to understand that, but that's literally how it is. So yeah, if that job you want to have doesn't exist, create it yourself. You have nothing to lose, compared to do nothing and having a job you don't like, at least. To me, I realized what I liked most about my job was all the things that I did in my spare time, ironically enough. All the community stuff, meetups. Around the time of my diagnosis, I discovered that could be a job. I also discovered that it was marketing, and I was like, what the hell? But because that is the thing about marketing, because when you think about marketing, you think about all the annoying marketing that really, that you just want to kill. But those are the marketers that hadn't understood that marketing has to bring value, and being annoying doesn't work. But that was also a side step. Getting back to why getting fired was a good thing, because the first time I was fired, that was my first change in career path. That's when I got into marketing and community. But, well, it didn't work. It obviously didn't work because I still got fired, so something was still up. Then, luckily I have a very clever wife, and when I got fired the second time, she said that I can't go around talking about ADHD and claiming that my brain is different, and not trying to do something differently, because if you do the same, then the same would probably happen. So she suggested, luckily the professor suggested, that I'm going freelance, because then I'm able to create my own time, or I can work when my brain works, and I can do what I want to do. And that's a really good idea, especially if you can get customers. Then it's not so good an idea, but I'm working on that. And also when you're your own boss, things get so simple that even my brain can understand it. That if I don't make money, then I'm not able to pay myself, right? So that makes things more simple, and that's motivating. I need a bit of water. Here's an overview of things I've learned along the way. Maybe it can help you if you're in a similar situation. The most important thing I'll say is that if you don't have a problem, don't get a diagnosis, really. Because when you get the diagnosis, you have a stamp, and that stamp is not always good to have. To me, it meant two significant things. One of them is that I'm able to have my medicine. That's good. It also meant that it's hard to get life insurance, and that's bad. Because as it turns out, insurance companies are assholes, right? They claim to vet you before you sign up, and then they don't understand it anyway. So they just somehow think there's a bigger risk with me, so they won't insure me. But I'm happy every day, so I need that. That's also something, right? ADHD is normal. It's nothing to be ashamed about. And you should also find your weaknesses and your limitations and mitigate. Think of it. You can compare it a little bit to being short-sighted, but who wouldn't get the glasses or contact lenses if their sight wasn't good? It's the same thing with ADHD. You need to do something to make yourself better. Recognize and accept your weaknesses. Find out what helps you mitigate them. And when people know your brain, as I said, it's really hard. It's really hard for them to be upset with you. And if you met one person with ADHD, then you've met one person with ADHD. That means that this is my ADHD that I've told you about. You should not assume that you have anything like that at all, because that's not how brains work. Yes. Also, as I've been working. I've had to work for many years, and with that regard, there are some things that I want to tell you that maybe can help you out a little bit. First of all, people are hesitant to talk about ADHD, and you shouldn't be. But I completely understand that some people don't want to open up because maybe it will backfire. But being transparent is the best long-term strategy, both for you and your boss and your workplace. So basically, turn the downside to your advantage. Utilize the bad things, and then maybe ADHD is a superpower. And if you have the right employer, then they're there to support you. And the other way around, as an employer, you should definitely embrace different people. Also, if they don't embrace different people, then there's a limit to how many people they can actually hire, because, as I said, it's relatively normal in our business. And people, they work different, regardless if they have a diagnosis or not. Some can't function in open office space like me. Some need some help. Some need help to plan their work. But again, that's relatively easy things to fix. Maybe not the open office space, but an employer can do a lot. And they also need to be more flexible in what is really important in your job. Is it important to be in the office every day, or is it important that you just do your job, right? What's most important? And also, as an employer, don't ask what you can do for your employee, because the employee has no idea. Instead, give some suggestions like, it would help if I did this and this, because then they get an idea of what can I actually expect, or what can I even request. Because this is a win-win for everybody, for the employer, for the employee. Nobody wants to get fired. Nobody wants to not have success. And also, as an employer, it's expensive. We have some time for questions. But I'll be around for the entire day, and just look for the T-shirt. Yes, there is a microphone in the middle.
It sounds like your view is that there are more people in Infosec that this is relevant for with ADHD. Why do you think that is, or do you have any theories?
Because since I started talking about this, I've been approached by a lot of people, and many of them has had the diagnosis. Some I've known for many years, and they confided in me that they've had the diagnosis for maybe 2 years, but they didn't want to tell anyone. But because I did, they can do it too. And I haven't done this to become a role model, but I can see that I somehow am, and if that helps anybody, that's good. So and as I said, the reason why I know this, or why I think this at least, is because so many people have started to approach me and seeing of me as some kind of ADHD oracle. But I have it, so I can only speak from my own experience. Yeah. All right. I guess that was it. I'm always there to help if you have any questions, and also I'm freelance consultant. I don't know if I mentioned this. And if you scan the QR code, then you can find my LinkedIn profile. And thanks for your time, and download the site if you want to.